Hello Brick Fanatics, check out what I've got. It is a full box of Series 27 collectible minifigures. Some characters that are absolutely worth having, some characters which are quite fun in their own charming way, and some hamsters. Now if you've seen our review for these minifigures, you will know which ones of these actually appealed to me and which ones I felt were maybe not quite the best of the bunch, but now is the time to go through and unbox the entire collection so that we can see them in all of their glory. And in order to make sure that we know exactly what is in which box when, we are going to be using the Brick Search app. In case you're unaware, the Brick Search app has had a recent update. It is now better than ever, and with the new Brick Search Plus subscription, I am able to scan boxes even offline. So if I happen to be in a big hole in the ground, I can still find out what are inside these minifigure boxes. You may be thinking, when is that going to be relevant? Stay tuned for a later video. Yes, that's right, they're putting me in a hole to show off how well this thing works. I'm very much looking forward to that. Anyway, shall we find out what is inside this first box? I think we shall. Number one is Pirate Quartermaster. Oh, good. We are starting strong because, as mentioned in my review for this, this is one of my absolute favorites of the whole lot. I absolutely adore this minifigure. So I'm going to take her out. So we've got here, this is her little skirty bit, which I just think is a wonderful extra addition to this minifigure. It's one of those things that didn't need to be in the box, but it adds so much to the character. I love the kind of the ruffles, the bells and whistles that really make a pirate minifigure stand out. There's some definite Pirates of the Caribbean vibes with this one, I feel. I'm having a little bit of a trick just getting that skirty piece on there. There we go, and fold it round. I gotta say, I'm not, like, under normal circumstances, I'm not the biggest fan of the skirt element because I don't feel like it's necessarily the perfect solution in all cases to do this with fabric. I think it really works with this one in particular, but I feel like Marge Simpson, for example, is a character that I feel never quite really worked using this solution for her dress. I would imagine that if we get that rumored Krusty Burger set this year, we might get her with the dress element rather than, or the skirt element rather than with an actual fabric thing this time around. Lovely pair of faces here on this pirate. So we've got, I like her cheekbones. I like that addition that we don't normally see with a minifigure. And she's got some quite bold eyebrows there, like as is standard for a female minifigure face. We've got eyelashes and we've got pouty lips. And as somebody I think mentioned in the comments on the last video, on these minifigures that I did where I was talking about the Pterodactyl and how she's got some really cool lipstick, they were pointing out that just because a woman is a woman, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to have big pouty lips and lipstick, and she's not necessarily going to have mascara on. And so those signifiers for a female minifigure are not necessarily as all-encompassing or representative of everybody. And that is an absolute fair criticism, I think, of the way that the LEGO Group does this, and indeed the way that a lot of cartoons will approach making a female minifigure. But even so, I do think that it is fun to see that on a character like this. No, she didn't necessarily need it. She could have been a minifigure that doesn't have big fancy eyelashes. As a man who has big long eyelashes myself, I absolutely understand the pain of having those as being very gendered in an odd way. But it is, I have to say, it's something that really worked with this particular minifigure. And I love, love, love the hairpiece on this one. I think it is just the most gorgeous thing on planet Earth. Really, really nice to have afro hair in a different kind of style here, working brilliantly with this pirate look, but also hopefully that's going to be useful for a bunch of different other LEGO sets that are going to be more inclusive and represent different types of people and different cultures and different fashion styles. Then we've got the brilliant Cockatoo, who is just so nice. It's wonderful to have an additional bird in LEGO form. I'm always excited by additional birds. We've had that pirate parrot for decades at this point, and so to have something which is in the same kind of style, the same kind of size, but with that wonderful yellow crest on the top really does, it just adds an extra fun kind of bird that you can put into your pirate builds and pirate sets and tableaus, or whatever you happen to be displaying them on. we have in the box, and these are not universal. The spares and the extras that you get in these things are not always the same with every minifigure. But here we've got a second cutlass. It is the standard pirate cutlass. This is the one part of this build that I think is just the kind of the basic option. Nothing particularly fancy here. As much as it might have been nice to have a different kind of cutlass, this is the perennial classic, isn't it? You can't not have that fantastic pirate cutlass. And then a little base to pop her on. Now, with the space minifigures, we had special printing on these bases with little stars to kind of differentiate them as something different. And then with Dungeons and Dragons, we had like a brickwork design on here. I had thought that maybe the LEGO group was going to be doing that with everything going forward, and that we would get some kind of different design for this one. But no, it is just back to the black base plate, the one that is completely plain and doesn't feature any additional printing. It's fine. It does the job. Right, that's one. We've got 11 more to go. Right, scanny time. Just move this rubbish out of the way. What have we got in the next one? This one is... oh, the Bogeyman. I do quite like the Bogeyman. I think that this is a brilliant headpiece on this one in particular. So if we open up this box, there he is. Wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. Look at that big old face. Rawr. I think, as mentioned in my review, and by the way, if you've not seen the review, go ahead and go and see that, because you'll learn even more about my thoughts on these minifigures. But one of the things that I really adore about this one is the book, which can then be added to my collection of LEGO books, which is steadily growing endlessly as I get more and more LEGO books. And there's a bunch of different things in there. So there's like Harry Potter books, like the potions, advanced potion making textbook from Half-Blood Prince. And then there's like a Fairy Tale book. Fairy Tale Brook, by the way, my favorite ride at Legoland, needs a Lego set. I'm just throwing that out there. But we've also got, what else have we got? We've got like one of the Lego Friends set had a book that came with a sticker on the front that looked suspiciously like it was The Legend of Zelda. And before we got Zelda Lego, that was like the closest that we had. And so in this house, that was the Zelda book for a while. But this, oh, the Bogeyman, I do love that face. It is big, it is bold, it is a little bit scary. And and I've also got these little horns to put on him. And he's got one that goes on that side, and he's got one that goes on the other side. And there we go. Look at that. Oh, wonderful, wonderful minifigure there. I haven't drawn attention to this yet, but I've just spotted this again while putting this together. I love that they put the little claws on his toes. That's such a nice little inclusion. They don't need to do the little extra details like that, but they do, and it's great. And I really like the use of this this kind of greyish blue colour for the horns and for the hands. Just something slightly different. And I always like when you get something slightly different, or a colour scheme that's slightly different for LEGO, because somehow just like a single element but in a colour that I've not seen it in before is just the most exciting thing in the world to me, because I'm a big old nerd. So that's 2. What's next? By the way, these have been moved around. They are not in the correct order if you're going by like the order of the things in the box. Pterodactyl costume. So don't expect this to be the same order. Like if you get a fresh one of these and you're expecting them to be in certain places in the box, that's not what's going on here, because I've moved these all around and played with the boxes too much by this point already. Anyway, Pterodactyl, here she is. Oh, she's lovely. This is a fairly basic one compared to some, which is good because it means that I can put it together without having to think too hard about it. There we go, there's a pterodactyl. And as said, I do like the face printing on this. That's my favourite part of this particular minifigure. I just love it's not that side, is it? It's that one. The slightly creepy, spooky, angry looking face. She's not angry, is she? She's maniacal. She's ha 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 ha, I'm a pterodactyl and I'm going to eat all of the fish. Because that's what pterodactyls ate, right? I don't know. I wasn't there at the time, but I'm fairly certain they ate fish. maybe dino fish, I don't know. I just think it's wonderful, and this is a complete tangent, but I think it is wonderful that sharks have been around on planet Earth since the time of the dinosaurs and never had to bother evolving or changing, because once you turn into a shark, you're like, done. I don't need to be anything else. Whereas the pterodactyls were like, not sure I'm necessarily adapted to the harsh changes in climate that I'm facing at this moment in time. But sharks, they had it down. Anyway, it's probably apparent that I don't have a huge amount to say on that one beyond just I like the lipstick. Some of these, as is always the case, are a little bit stronger than others. Jetpack Racer, this one is a pretty strong one. So let's get that box open. There he is. Oh, lovely. The helmet in particular. So apparently this was designed initially for video, which the wonderful ill-fated music app Lego thing, where they figured, I guess, that the price of the Lego could factor in the cost of designing and developing this app as well. And everyone was like, no. I'm not going to pay for an app that I don't really want. I just want the bricks. And so the cost of these plummeted quickly. I've forgotten how to put this thing together. Got a fair number of little spare pieces in here. It's fun. They always do one of these every time, which has a few more elements in the box. And it's confusing me because I've got to build it upside down. Like that. So that's nice. That's his little jetpack. I think the jetpack is the weaker element here. I kind of like the printing on the back of his torso more than I like the brick-built jetpack that goes over the top of it. So I might not necessarily want to display it that way. But I do like his little Tony Stark face. That's definitely a Tony Stark face. I hope that we get this visor in different colours in future series of collectible minifigures, because I do really like this helmet piece. And it is a good kind of knockoff Iron Man in general. So there we go. That is our Jetpack Racer. Now, what's next? Oh, Astronomer Kid. So I haven't planned out how I'm going through these, like what order I'm doing these in. I'm just letting it happen. And some of these need more attention than others. I do feel it is the case. This one, I think, is so great. I love the prosthetic piece. I think it is so fantastic. It is a wonderful piece of inclusion, but it's also a wonderful piece of Lego. It's a lot of fun to have, and it gives you so many different options. I think this is going to be, the good thing is this has got a couple in the box. And that is great, because I feel like this is going to be a really useful element, because it goes into a bar on one side and then it's got a hand on the other side, but there are so many more things that it can be used for. And I can't wait to see what kinds of mocks people come up with that use that particular element. I'm also really grateful that there are two in the box, because when I opened the first one of these boxes for my review, I then took off the hand element and I put it down so I could put a lightsaber on the end here instead. And then I'd completely lost the hand element, and I was like, oh no, what have I done? I've lost the prosthetic hand. I made a big deal about how wonderful it is. Now I can't put it on display when I'm taking more pictures of this set. And then thankfully I remembered, wait, there was a spare in the box, and so I managed to save it. But for a second there, I was panicking, because I am not necessarily always the most organized of Lego collector. And there we go. Wonderful. I mean, all of the attention, for me at least, goes to this hand piece, but I do really like the printing on her pajama top there as well. That's really nice. And I love this hair element. It's just brilliant. So we've got two here that are more afro styled hair, and that gives you so many more options for diversity in your Lego set, because I mean, there's a video to be made on the Lego Group's approach to representation of different people and different communities and different types of hair in general. So I'm not going to go into it in too much detail right here, but I'm really glad that the Lego Group is realizing that you can communicate more about a minifigure through more than just their skin tone, because of course all of the minifigures for this kind of thing come with this wonderful yellow skin tone that we have seen in a billion minifigures before, but then you put a different hairpiece on, or you put a prosthetic hand on, and suddenly there is a different kind of minifigure that you have never had before, and that is fantastic. So if you compare this with, say, a different minifigure that just happened to be on my desk from the sticker building video that I did before, the hairpiece says so much about what kind of ethnicity, what kind of background that particular minifigure has. And so to have more of these ones with this afro hair just means that when you're looking at your lineup of minifigures, there's more than just the, shall we say, European minifigures to that list, or, you know, originally ethnically European minifigures. And I think that is great, because I want there to be diversity in my minifigure lineup. I like my Lego sets to reflect the world that I see around me. So this is another one that's got a bunch of bricks in the box, and I don't know how they kind of decide what level of additional accessories you're going to get in a box, because some have way more than others. And especially when it comes to some of these brick-built ones, it's almost like I'm doing I think I've got something. No, I've not got that around the wrong way. It feels like I'm doing an advent calendar again. I'm like, oh, hang on a second. I recognize this. I know what I'm doing. That goes in there. Nope, that goes around the other way. A more tricky than usual collection of brick-built accessories with these minifigures, and that might just be that my brain is not in the right mode for it at the moment. But the instructions feature a lot of doing things upside down and then turning them, which is not normally the case with these collectible minifigures. So there's a slightly more challenging element to that with some of these than you would normally see, and that's an interesting inclusion. But very happy to have my little astronomer kid, and I'm glad that there we go, the telescope can sit on the base plate with her, and so she can go over there and join her friends. Moving on. So let's see what we got. I'm just going to get my phone up. And yes, by the way, I am excited for the rumours of Into the Spider-Verse Lego minifigures may be coming this year. Wolfman! Oh yeah. Saw a trailer for the Wolfman film this week. Very different kind of Wolfman, I've got to say. Wolfpack, even. I said Wolfman. I meant Wolfpack. It was clear in my brain that something wasn't quite right when I said that, and now I figured out where it was. I think nothing is worse, though, than when I was interviewing one of the designers of one of the Lego Castle sets, and I accidentally said Forestman where I met Wolfpack. And it was just my brain misfiring for a second. And he just looked at me like I was a complete novice to all things Lego. And I'm like, oh, no, I meant this other thing.
Because obviously here we're getting Forestman rather than more and more guards.
Yeah. Yeah, you can say in the King's Castle you have the Forestmen, the Robin Hood guys.
Sorry.
And here we have the Wolfpack.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Anyway, shall we talk about the minifigure? This is a good one. I like this. We've got here the wolf. I cannot, for the life of me, figure out how to put the wolf onto the base plate with everything else. It's not gonna happen. This thing will sit very comfortably on some Lego. Here you can see I'm partway through building the helicarrier from the sticker video. So he can sit on there very nicely, but he's not going to sit on a base plate, even if I just put him... No, okay, all right, that works. He can have the entire base plate, and the Forestman did it again. And the Wolfpack Beastmaster can just stand next to him. Oh no. All right. Moving on. I'll tell you what, I've just remembered I had a stack of these here because I was filming the other minifigures and I used them to like prop up the ones that are behind on the group photo. So he can have his own little base plate and the wolf can have its own one, and they can just be fantastic. I think I love the Wolfpack. I'm trying very hard to say the right thing now. I love the Wolfpack shield element the most. Like, it's nice when it's on a torso, and the printing on this one is particularly nice. I really like the detail in the chainmail, but this is probably the coolest classic castle faction shield. I mean, one will pop into my head a second later that will maybe surpass it, but right this second, I can't think of a better one. Just off the top of my head, I really think it is fantastic to have that classic element back. Like, sometimes you get the classic element, and as said, it's the most basic form of doing something, but sometimes you get that classic element, which is just spot on the same way that it was back in the day, you know, multiple decades ago, and it's lovely to have it. So I appreciate where, with this minifigure in particular, the Lego group has kept some things the same and has changed some things for the better. Like the sword is a much more modern sword, but it's lovely. This is definitely, like, you know, this is going to be the one that the most people collecting these are going to be the most excited to get hold of, and it is clear that the Lego group knew that, and the designers here went all out with this one in particular, and with this delightful cloak element. It's just so nice. So that's the Wolfpack Beastmaster, not the Forestman. What's next? Right, next up, it's Cupid. Oh, I like Cupid. I think My appraisal of this one still stands, that it is a brilliant use of existing elements to make something new, but then also apparently it's not just existing elements, because we've got these new wings, and these are going to be so useful again for mocks. I can't wait to see what people come up with this element. But beyond that, there is something really striking about the color scheme for this particular minifigure, with the white, with the yellow, and with that classic red, which is brighter than you would normally expect because it's contrasting so well against the yellow and the white. We've got two faces here. This one is a perfectly lovely, normal-ish face. He's got rosy cheeks, but if you turn him around, it's the heart emoji, and that's so fun. I love that. And then we've got this bright blonde hairpiece there. So he stands out, I've got to say. From this lineup, this is the most bold in terms of the color scheme, I think, which really, really works. Now the question is, do I put the heart on the top of his hand like that, or do I put it on the side of his hand like that? I did that 1 second, so I guess I'm sticking like that. Right, so we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which means that we've got 5 left to go, unless I'm awful at maths. I wonder what this one's gonna be. Cat lover. You see that? Cat lover. And if I open this up, yeah, cat lover. Oh, this is such a nice cat. This is such a nice, it's just so much more fluffy than ones that we've had previous, but otherwise it looks the same. And it's brilliant when the LEGO group is able to carry over aesthetic and design choices across a variety of different elements that are meant to be on display together so that they all feel like part of a unified whole. And this cat design, I just love, and I think a lot of cat lovers and LEGO fans who have cats are really going to dig this piece in particular. I'm weighing up in my head which of these minifigures I ought to look at getting additional copies of down the line, and I'm wondering whether I just want to build myself a little cat army. I mean, it would be cheeky to take too many of them, so I'm not going to go into the shop and just clear out all of the cat lover minifigures, but having a couple more cats so that this cat lover can really relish having just too many cats, that would be quite fun. There's a part of me, I've been thinking recently about custom builds and making things myself and doing some mocks. There's part of me that wants to do like a cat house and just have hundreds of cats all just stood around in this house. It might be because I was watching Puss in Boots, the new one recently, and there's a scene in that where there's just hundreds of cats in a house, and I thought to myself, that would make a good Lego set. So there's a temptation to make one myself, and I might end up biting the bullet on that. It would be fantastic. Also, I do want to highlight this brilliant cat jumper, which is just so nice with all of the little cats on it. Just fantastic. We've had a few different woolly jumpers lately appearing in this house, because we've had, of course, Luke and Leia from the Star Wars Advent Calendar, and it's been brilliant to have them, but this one beats an 80/80 Christmas jumper by miles, because it's so nice. Moving on, what do we got here? Bring up my app, do a little scan. This is a hamster. Okay. All right, so this one is my least favorite of the lot, and I'm not going to be shy about admitting that. It is the one that's got the least plastic in the box, and that is part of my issue with it. But it's also just the fact that it doesn't feel like they've really kind of gone above and beyond what you might expect of a hamster build. I still feel like there'd be a better accessory than just a little bit of cucumber. I'd like a tail, like an actual built tail, like an element that goes on that is the tail, rather than it just having a little tiny bit of printing. I mean, the little printing is a cute addition, but it's not as fleshed out as it could be. It's not as complete. It feels like something is missing from this box, especially when you compare this with some of these others and how much extra you get there. You've got this whole book here with the Bogeyman, and then you've just got a tiny little bit of cucumber. I mean, or admittedly, you've got two tiny little bits of cucumber because the spare has come in the box, and that I am very grateful for. So I'll put that on as well. But it's just, there's more that could be here. Never mind, that one didn't get the budget, and that's fair enough because one of these has to be the worst. So, next. I've got a good feeling about this one. I don't know what it is yet. It is Plush Toy Collector. Ah, yes. So, somebody helpfully in the comments for the review video pointed out all the different sets where they've got plushes. They've got one in, I think, a friend's set, And there was one somewhere else in like it wasn't a city set, I don't think. It was somewhere else. But it's now made me think that maybe I need to collect all of the plush toys that are basically Squishmallows. But I do love the printing on this minifigure as well, and I feel like that needs to be given special attention. Look at this fantastic design here. We've got printing on the torso on the front, we've got printing on the legs, we've got wonderful printing on the arms, and then we've got printing on the back as well, and I do quite like the bunny ears there. Now, different minifigures here have different design styles, all keeping them more or less within the same Lego sphere, but you really do get the sense that the poor little hamster has had the short end of the stick here in terms of how much detail there is in that printing, where this one looks really, really nice and has the little kind of fluffy marks to show that this is a particularly squishy onesie, whereas this is just the shape of a belly, and that's kind of it. I mean, it's also got something on the feet, but other than that, it's not very much by comparison, and maybe that was a design choice, but it does really feel like the hamster, poor thing, did get the short end of the stick here. Really very nice. I love this hairpiece in pink. That is really good news for anybody who loves this hairpiece from its various other appearances in Monkey Kid and I think Dreams, and then periodically in Lunar New Year sets. The face is very nice, two wonderful expressions here. That one, I think some people are going to look at this and be like, oh, I don't need this in my life. But some people are going to look at this and be like, yes, Squishmallows. Right, we've got 2 left, so let's see what we are missing. Longboarder, I like this one. This is a good one. This one's one of those ones that's got a fair amount of plastic in the box because of the big old longboard. Clip these wheels in there, and clip these wheels in here. And again, while the longboard is pretty neat, it does need to be mentioned that the printing on this one is fantastic. Before I put that backpack on, there is the back of the torso. So not a lot there, which is fine. I like that backpack piece. It's the same one that we saw with the inconspicuous tourist minifigure from earlier in the year. Or I guess from last year relative to when these minifigures actually release. But I think the thing that makes this minifigure work for me is the ripped jeans, which is just fabulous. You can see the yellow of the minifigure's legs poking through. It's a lot of fun. And then also this brilliant extreme sports piece with a cap that's backwards with the hair poking out, and of course it's bright green because of course it is, and her wheels are green as well, so she's got a good color scheme to her. Really very nice one there, particularly if you are a fan of extreme sports. Then it was time for the final one. And if you have been paying attention, you will know already which one this is. It is going to be Steampunk Inventor. There it is, Steampunk Inventor. And there he is with that brilliant hat piece, Steampunk Inventor. Dual molded legs and a level of detail in the printing design which surpasses anything else here, because you've got very fancy kind of embellishments on his boots. You've got lines to his trousers which are gold. So he's got gold pinstripes on his trousers, which are very nice. And then that fabulous piece up top. That's really, really cool with so much going on there. You've got valves and you've got cables or whatever. You've got straps and buckles. You've got some kind of thing that's measuring a temperature or gas levels, I suppose. Similar kind of thing on the back. You've got stitching on his top and on the side here. You've got a little button, which is really neat. You've got a completely golden arm here, which we are going to add to in a second. And then you've got the face piece, which in and of itself is just fabulous. I love the monocle. I love the moustache and the mutton chops. And then you've got his hat. Now, the one thing I do complain about with this minifigure is the angle on which the hat is tilted. If you see, it's leaning that way a little bit, and it feels like it would be more comfortable to have it on that way around so that he's kind of got it up rather than got it down. But that is the way that it is meant to be. He's got it at a jaunty angle. He's got these wonderful goggles that are unfortunately not a molded element but are printed, but that means that this top hat can be used in different circumstances. It's just that when I get one of these that doesn't have goggles printed on it, I'm going to be using it that way around because that's just what I prefer. And then if I put him there, we've also got... Oh, I'm going to get my instructions down here to figure out how to put this together. We've got this bit, which is nice. It is brilliant to have it in pearl gold. It's always nice to have something in pearl gold, but it really works for this particular minifigure, where we're using gold to, I think, be more like a kind of a brassy design. We've got another one of these things to measure something or other. That, I don't know what that is. I don't know what it's meant to be measuring, but it's something steam related, one would assume. We've got a little piece of ice cream there used for steam. We've got a hook in there to be the claw arm for whatever this thing is meant to be, and then this clips onto Steampunk Inventor's arm, and he's got a steam-powered giant robot arm, which is something that all of us need in our lives. I feel very envious of this minifigure. I feel envious of his aesthetic choices, his sartorial choices, and of the fact that he has got a cool giant robot arm that is powered by steam. Fantastic minifigure to end on. This has been the full lineup of the collectible minifigures from Series 27. Some really nice ones in there. Absolutely, if you are going after specific minifigures, make sure that you use that brilliant brick search app, which is going to get you the right one without you having to faff about with weighing the boxes or trying to peek in through a corner or doing the horrible thing of like tearing open a box and just leaving it in the shop. How dare you do that? Get the Brick Search Plus subscription in order to be able to scan multiple boxes at the same time, an unlimited number of boxes, and to be able to scan no matter where you are, even if it's a big hole in the ground. Yes, that video is going to be coming in the new year. I am looking forward to going into a big hole in the ground. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, make sure that you do all of the regular YouTube things for this video and give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe and the notification bell. If you are going to be purchasing any Lego from lego.com in the near future, make sure that you use the affiliate link, which is down in the description, or the QR code that is currently on screen, as that takes you straight to the Lego website. We get a little bit of the percentage of the sale when you purchase through those links. Just helps to keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics. Make sure that you go to brickfanatics.com, by the way, for all of your Lego coverage. Sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything Lego related ever again, and have a lovely end of the year, and I will see you very soon for another video. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.